professors discuss things like the truth claims of religions like Christianity is really, really fascinating and telling to hear. Like, just think about the fact that, like, a lot of philosophers, when they approach the question of whether Christianity is true, will just provide sort of abstract and logical arguments and reasons for or against God, and yes, often will quote historical evidence and historical sources and reasons to believe things that way. But it's funny when you look at someone like a scientist or a pathologist or a doctor, and they will simply say to you, there's not, without a superbly tremendous amount of evidence to the contrary, there's just not a lot that's going to convince me that someone can be raised from the dead, that anyone can cease to live and perhaps even begin to decompose, and then their biological processes can be kick-started back into life, and their organs can just reawaken when, like, from a scientific point of view, there is really no reason for that. There's no natural reason for that. And I just find that really funny, that the different ways at which you can look at this problem of the claims of different religions and of people being raised from the dead and the supernatural, and literally just in some sense of being like, oh well, the concept of God doesn't make sense because of, if God's good and there's evil, then what the fuck? And then the completely different angle of science, empiricism, naturalism, being like, actually, I just don't think that's possible. I've never seen anything like that, and I think the cases where things like that happen are generally very poorly documented compared to the wealth of evidence we have to suggest that once you die, that's fucking it. Like, all of your consciousness just ceases, as far as we know. And no, we don't know that consciousness is stored in the body, but it's funny to think that, most of us live our lives with that kind of assumption, more or less, based on, modern science and things. And I'm not by any stretch saying that that's been a widely held view throughout history. Of course, it's easy to assume that it's common sense now, because we know about all these reasons to believe that consciousness has some kind of direct link to your brain, or more broadly, your physical body, your matter, your flesh, and that, neurons are firing in different parts of your brain is probably going to cause the process by which you think and perceive and feel things. And so, yeah, it just astounds me that, like, someone's argument against God could be as simple, as someone who's, a big proponent of philosophy and someone who's very interested in philosophy, it astounds me to see that someone's argument against God could be as simple as, I just don't think the supernatural can happen. It's just not likely.